efforts to free yourself and so on. At one point in the book, Joe quotes you as saying, "The rest of the world that thinks I got off on a technicality," I guess this is after the Fourth Circuit had overturned the conviction, "will have to wait for your book." So obviously you've entertained great hopes that this book was somehow going to end up vindicating you. Obviously now,
No question.
it's you're just fearful of how much it's going to hurt, I assume.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, at the trial, well, I told you this the whole business about we talked about this a little bit before. It just never occurred to you that he was going to pull a Nixon on you.
No.
All right. And we talked about whether anybody want to trust him again. Do you think that this is going to, are you concerned about the effect that this book is going to have on your mother?
Oh, absolutely.
How do you think?
I mean, I think it's a devastating thing to have come out about her son, number one, and number two, how does she and the rest of the family come out? Everyone worries about it. You know, all my friends are worried. Brian O'Neill's worried. Wade Smith is worried. Bernie Siegel, I'm sure, is very worried.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone feels a real sense of betrayal. My good friends who had Joe in, you know, similar to how people treated him in Alaska. They took him under their arm, they showed him around, they ferried him about, they opened up their souls too, and they want to see how they're quoted or not quoted, or portrayed and not portrayed.
He, at one point, Joe said he thought that he was fearful that your mother would commit suicide over this thing. What is your feeling about how devastated she's like? Is she a strong enough person to withstand whatever?
Oh, I think so. I think she's a strong enough person. I think she'll be hurt very badly by it, especially if it's, you know, it's as sleazy as it sounds like it's going to be.
Yeah.
I think most of the people, you know, who have worked side by side with me, for instance, at the hospital for 11 years, they'll make their own decision. I mean, you know, they've seen me under pressure for a long number of years, and they've made up their own mind about a person and his capabilities and whatnot.
Yeah. Do you think that this book is likely to have the effect of eroding your support significantly, maybe cutting down on the amount of money you can get from people to help pay for the defense?
I don't know. I don't know the impact of the book on the population. I really don't know. It certainly is not going to be as good as a positive book.
I assume that you feel that some of your closest friends are going to continue to believe in you despite whatever he says in this book.
I would hope so.
Have you guys made an effort to stop publication of the book? I understand Brian wrote a letter. Joe says Brian O'Neill wrote a letter to Putnam's and tried to stop publication on the grounds that Joe was violating what basically was an attorney-client privilege.
Well, he is. He signed an agreement with us that he was part of the defense team.
But so there was some effort to stop publication.
No, what the request was for a copy of the book. See? Typical of Joe to ignore that. The request wasn't to stop the publication. The request was to see the book.
Do you think you might make an effort to stop publication?
I don't know. That's up to the lawyers. Given the, you know, the sleaziness and sensationalism of the book, it would probably be exactly what the publisher would like.
He also said that you or somebody had written a letter to Sterling Lord asking about, you know, further payments from the book. So that sort of strange dichotomy going on there. That at the same time as you're hoping it's not selling a copy, you were asking when you might see further money from this. Do you remember writing such a letter?
No, that it wasn't asking for further payments. It was asking for an accounting of what's happened and what and for a copy of the contract and what the contract means.
Yeah. When was that? Recently?
Yeah, about a month ago. Because we didn't.
You wrote to him yourself?
Yeah. You know, I discussed it with Brian and wrote to him and said, I want to see an accounting and I want to see a copy of the contract. Because I didn't have a copy here and we couldn't find it in my files back in Long Beach.
Did he send you one?
Yeah.
And his accounting was something in the neighborhood of $60,000?
Right. 60-something, 63 or 66.
But again, as between these two conflicting needs, the need for the book to succeed so you'll have some defense money and the need for it not to succeed, you opt for
Well,
at the moment.
I wish the book would burn. Are you kidding? I would hope it would never sell a copy.
Do you realize, by the way, that you and Freddie Kassab are sort of partners in this movie?
Isn't that outrageous?
I mean, if this movie is made,
Isn't that
He will
terrible?
receive some money for this movie, and presumably you will at that point. Are you aware of this effort of Freddie's to have a law passed, federal Son of Sam law? Are you familiar with the Son of Sam law
Yeah.
in New York State and what that does? He's trying to get a federal bill passed that essentially designed to prevent you from getting any proceeds from the book or the movie or anything like that. Are you aware of that?
No.
Well, in fact, he is. I think he's sort of self-peddling it for the moment, but that's something he's up to. How do you feel about that?
I have no feelings about it. I mean, I don't know. I never thought about it.
Yeah. Do you ever think what's going to happen to the Kassabs now that they don't, at the moment, for them at least, this case is relatively dormant. Freddie Kassab is actively engaged in trying to remove your remaining medical licenses. Which ones do you still have now? You have,
I don't even know. It's in the hands of my lawyers. I don't even know.
and he's actively involved in this, Son of Samuel. But presumably, unless there is a new trial and so on and so forth, and the thing just sort of recedes into whatever, it's going to reach a very inactive state. What do you think is likely to happen to them, right? As a result of no longer having this case to
I don't know. They made it their life. That's become their only focus in life. So I don't know.
Whatever happened between you and Bernie? Were you very upset about? That's another. He talks at great length in the book about the closing argument, Bernie's closing argument, and the tactical decision, screw up of not letting Wade do more.
Yeah.
And he quotes somebody saying, I think it was somebody in the jury, even saying Wade had only talked for a few more minutes or something like that. And I think all of us who were at the trial had that clear sense as well. Was that what caused you to remove or ask Bernie to step aside as the
No.
What was it?
I think, it was pretty clear that we needed some new blood and I needed some new energy on the case, basically. I think Bernie felt burned out. I think he felt like he had been beating his head against the wall. Bernie had what he thought was a winning case, had won it several times, won it in quotes, and we kept getting reversed.
Joe quotes you in the book as calling Bernie an asshole.
Well, I'm sure in my anger, I mean, who wouldn't?
Yeah, right.
I mean, that's just, if he's made a big deal out of that.
Yeah, but you still talk to Bernie on the phone periodically?
Bernie is a fine person. I respect him very much, and I think he defended me well. I think there were mistakes made.
Including the closing argument?
Closing argument, no question.
What was your feeling after that?
I really didn't have a feeling. I was, I can't even recall how I felt at those moments.
But as you thought about it later on, I mean, did you, like analyzing a ball game after it's over?
Well, I wish the argument had been different, and I wish Wade had done a lot more of it.
Yeah. You think that could have tipped the scales?
We've always thought so. I still think so. I think when we go back now, it'll be a very different thing.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about when you go back now. What, in general terms, as much as you can tell me, what is the progress of efforts to find new witnesses and so on?
We're pretty advanced. We have over 20 solid witnesses, none of whom are of the so-called flaky variety.
To what effect, generally speaking?
Putting other people at the scene and admissions of guilt from other persons.
Does this have to do with Helena now, or with other people, or what?
Well, Helen is definitely involved, but the new evidence that we're talking about has basically to do with people other than Helena.
Because this Mazerol character was supposed to have been involved in it. Joe says in the book that Mazerol was determined to have been in prison at the time of the murder, someplace in another state.
Someplace in another state?
Yeah, I believe in.
No, there was one report that he was in Fayetteville jail.
I don't know exactly where, but he was in prison.
I don't know.
But
I don't know those
you
details.
But the nature of the witnesses is that they're willing to testify that they either knew somebody else being there or were there themselves or whatever. Nobody's saying they were there themselves.
Nobody's saying they were there themselves.
How much time are you people spending down here, the detectives and so on?
Full time. Around the clock.
Jesus, It's an expensive piece of work. These guys must bill out at $100 an hour or something like that.
It's expensive.
They have an office down there that they operate on? Is this one guy, Ray?
Right.
And the guy I met at Newsday, O'Connell himself operates out of New York.
Yeah, he's
supervisory role.
He's supervising, right. He's a...
And so this Ray guy is the main.
Ray Shedlick is the detective.
And what about Gunderson? Is he involved in this at all?
Just an occasional lead if it comes up on the West Coast.
Okay. Now, the likelihood is what? That you're going to present this stuff in a motion sometime this fall, perhaps?
I hope within 2 months.
What's the holdup in this inspection?
I think just finalizing it and finalizing what's in the FOIA that we're just getting now.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned that before we were in the mess hall. You were sort of floating this weekend. Brian called you what? Friday?
Friday.
And what was he telling you?
I gotta put this delicately. All of the fondest hopes that we had about discovery, okay, have in fact are coming, these hopes are coming true in the FOIA.
Okay.
In other words, there is a sequence of dirty tricks that indicate they made a decision to get me prosecuted no matter what, at any cost.
Yeah.
Including hiding evidence that tends to prove me innocent.
Is that kind of thing hiding evidence? Does that come under the heading of new evidence?
Sure.
The way that the law reads, that
Sure.
you have to have new evidence?
Sure. Evidence that tends to be exculpatory is supposed to be given to you pre-trial, so you can help defend yourself with that evidence.
Right, but if you did not raise that specific issue during the appeals, isn't that sort of behind you now to some extent because of the Supreme Court having refused to review the lower court's ruling that there was in fact a fair trial? Can you not
but
raise
if you,
those?
but you can still go back for new trial based on new evidence.
Yeah. But these exculpatory things that were hidden, you feel
They're new to us.
Yeah.
Okay, they're new to us.
You didn't have them.
We did not. We did not have them in 1979.
Okay. Has there been a lot of difficulty getting this FOIA in?
Horrendous. 3.5 years. We have been fighting for that since. Well, let me be accurate now, so I don't get torn apart again.
Right.
Since. Let's see. January 1980. Okay? So, since January 1980, we've been fighting for FOIA.
Okay.
Documented letters, back and forth.
And they just finally got them on last week?
We started getting them about April. We got a few things a year ago. Ted got a few things. Ted Gunderson.
Okay.
The majority has started coming in June of this year.
And they're just reading through it?
And they're just getting through it. We got another batch last week.
Okay. You guys are not waiting for Brother Dupree to cash in his chips or to become a senior judge or anything like that, are you?
No.
He can presumably be assigned to this
The case no matter what.
No matter what.
Exactly.
Okay, so that's not part of your tactics here.
Right.
Okay. Your operating assumption, I assume, is that he will be the judge who will hear it.
Right. So when as Brian puts it, when the case is perfect, we go back. And he doesn't want to go back until he's seen all the FOIA and until the last known witness has been run down through Ray Shedlick.
Yeah.
In other words, if we have 3 or 4 witnesses outstanding, we put it off again.
Yeah.
And that's what happens. There's always 3 or 4 more witnesses.
Yeah. Okay. Did you hear about the break-in at the apartment?
Right.
I talked to Brian, not your Brian, but the Viper Brian.
Right.
And his theory is he's less worried about what was taken out, which was just a logbook of some sort.
Why would anyone steal a logbook?
Well, I don't know. But he's concerned about what may have been put in. That is to say that maybe somebody from your camp went in there and
Of
dropped
course,
a couple of head
of
hairs
course.
from Helen Stoker.
Of course. Yeah, that's right.
What do you guys think happened there?
We don't know. We wonder why a log has been stolen. We wonder who's been visiting the house, that they're afraid to have their name show up.
Yeah.
See, that's discoverable information.
Yeah.
We wonder how many times Freddie Kassab's been in the house.
Mr. Sines, 385. Mr. Peace out. Call 385.
Okay. What's your feeling about the apartment, generally speaking? I assume you want to have it remain sealed.
Oh, sure.
Of course, it's in the government's interest to turn it into military housing for somebody.
It's much more important for our forensics to get full access to it. We've never had full access to it. We've had a walkthrough.
Yeah. Do you think that this break-in has essentially destroyed the whatever?
Oh, they did that a long time ago.
Yeah.
They had VIP tours. Freddie was in there. You know,
Yeah.
they had free reign for 12 years.
How did you feel when you heard about the break-in? How did you guys find out about it?
News people call us,
Oh yeah.
say we heard there was a break-in at Fort Bragg, so Ray Shedler called, and they said, yeah.
I stopped by there on the way back just to see if anybody was living, whether it was still boarded up, whether anybody was living next door, or what they think. I talked to the guy who was living there, and, you know, people are constantly saying to him, do you know that the last 3 families that lived there, the husband beat up the wife in February, and they're constantly on his case and all this kind of stuff. And they're trying to give the stuff to his kids, and when the MPs go by at night and they shine lights in the windows in the front, and of course his kids sleep up over top of the place. And he says he didn't like that so much. But he told me about the break-in. He said they had told him that the MPs would be back to board up plywood up the front door, which they hadn't been as of the time. You know, the common perception, well, basically, how hopeful are you that this effort to get a new trial is going to be ultimately successful? Because the common perception that obtains outside is that basically that's a rather pro forma thing that's going to take place, but it's not going to, you know, Brian and all the prosecution people don't seem to be in the least bit concerned, and they figured this is over until, you know, the 21st century.
Well, I think the new evidence is going to have to force a new trial. I mean, I think it's there now. Brian O'Neill is certainly no optimist,
Yeah.
but he says there's evidence there now that deserves a new trial. He said there's just no question about it.
Yeah.
He said it has to be put in polished final form before you can go in front of a judge with it, but he says the evidence is there. There are other people who were there committing murder that night. You know, it's one thing for Judge Dupree to throw out statements from Helena Stokely. It's another thing to throw out similar statements from 20 people.
Yeah. Where did you come by Brian O'Neill anyway? How did you?
Just a personal reference.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a terrific person.
You like his work so far?
Let me say something off the record.
Sure.
It's unbelievable to deal with someone who's honest,
Yeah.
answers your phone calls, does the work, and charges you what he said he was going to charge.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah.
You dial the phone, and you get him.
Yeah.
And you say, what about this? He says, I'll get right on it. 2 days later, it's done.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
I mean, so we have real high hopes.
Okay. So you feel that there's still a good chance you might be out of prison sometime real soon?
I think we'll win the case, yeah.
Has he gives you in these phone conversations some briefing on what these people are saying and who they are?
I am generally familiar with the line of evidence that has been developed.
Okay.
I'm not familiar with the specific statements, stuff like that. He has been here to see me once to show me certain very important things, to really, alleviate my anxiety,
Yeah.
to show me how far along we've developed a new case, and I was blown out.
Affidavits and all kinds of stuff?
Yeah, I mean, affidavits signed and sealed from
Spent the whole
reputable
day with you,
people.
basically?
Yeah,
Okay.
and asking questions that he didn't want to ask on the phone, How do you see the book as affecting the case?
I don't know. I mean, presumably it shouldn't affect the case at all. I mean, the
That's
judges...
what Brian says. Brian says it's going to be a big win in PR for a month or 2 or 3 or 4, but he said it's not going to change the case. That's what he says.
Legally, it shouldn't. I mean, if the evidence is there, the evidence is there. It doesn't matter
Right.
what Joe McGinniss is saying. What would you do if Joe McGinniss was in the room now? Would you want to duke it out with him, or...?
Well, you put me in a bind because you can't answer normal emotions from in here.
Yeah.
Because you get labels,
Yeah.
like Joe gave me.
Yeah. I mean, what would you like to say to him if you could talk to him?
I think he's a sleazeball. I think that he uses people, and I think he's intellectually arrogant without having the real reason to be arrogant. I mean, I'm not sure where Joe feels as though he's judge and jury of everyone. I think his medical speculations are ludicrous. That is the biggest joke of all. I feel sorry for the guy in a way, believe it or not.
Why is that?
Because he uses people. His whole life he spent using people. He doesn't ever seem to have a solid relationship with someone other than one based on use.
Even his wife?
I don't know. I'm not privy to that relationship.
Special census count is over at this time.
My God, you made it.
Census count is over at this time. Resume normal activity.
But I mean, wouldn't it be terrible if you spent your entire adult life being a voyeur, writing about your so-called observations and making money off of other people's pain?
Yeah. All right, let me see if there's anything else.
Well, I think it would be terrible for anyone to have their life examined the way I've had my life examined. Who could stand that kind of scrutiny?
Yeah.
If someone wants to make it look sleazy, they can make it look sleazy. I mean, do you think that your life or Joe's life would not, would look good if someone took the tack that he has taken in this book? You can't do it. I don't think. I thought I had a man with integrity and honor who was going to edit. So I talked to him honestly. I didn't want Joe spending 2 years thinking, gee, MacDonald isn't telling me the whole story, okay? So I told him the whole story from my viewpoint, assuming he would then edit.
Yeah.
I didn't expect him to put quotes around my words about sexual relationships with my wife.
Yeah.
That's cheap. That's cheap paperback stuff. That isn't a good writer.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? There's a whole difference there. One person would listen to my words, talk to my associates and friends or enemies or whatever, and choose a path. That isn't what Joe did. He's chosen to concentrate on sensational and sleazed versions of everything.
Let's suppose this does go back to trial. For the moment, let's hypothesize it goes back to trial. Now here comes a trial, and the government tries to introduce into evidence these tapes. Let's say they subpoena the tapes from Joe, which I assume they could probably do. And not, in any case, they're public record now. I mean, parts
Right.
of them are public record. They're in the book, and now they're going to. Let me read to you from Jeffrey MacDonald's own words about himself and about his sexual relationships with people. So,
Fine. What does that have to do with whether or not I committed a triple homicide?
yeah, you would want. But
I mean-
you would argue that. Okay.
It's
maybe-
not relevant.
Yeah.
It's not relevant.
All right. Well, I would suggest that, as I said, Joe told me he was going to send you this thing on August 10th. So I would suggest you might.
Joe's a
want to
coward. He hasn't written a letter since Mike Wallace arrived.
Well,
He wrote up to the day before Mike Wallace got here. I got a letter from him, normal, talking about the Yankees,
yeah,
talking about George Steinbrenner. You
Yeah.
follow me?
Yeah, right.
Normal, as though we still have this normal relationship. But keep me posted on events. Let me know if you have new evidence in the case, and I'll get it into the book.
right.
Okay? Then I'm destroyed by this Mike Wallace interview, and since then, without me writing back to Joe, I don't hear a single word from him. Now that's just a coward's way out. He never had the honesty to ever be upfront with me on this in 3 years.
Yeah. All right. Unless you want to add anything? I mean,
No.
I think we pretty well covered it.
Yeah, you wipe me out.
All right. Thanks a lot, Jeff.
How does Mom feel about the book?